What's going on, everybody? Turn down my music here. How's everybody doing today on this snowy Friday up in Jersey? At least it's snowing. Seems like it never seems to stop. Anyway, so today we're gonna be working on a project that I started about a month ago, which is the North Carolina Transportation Museum, if you haven't put that together from the title and the description. Again, this is something that I started about a month ago. There's not going to be any video series on this. I thought I would just work on it off camera or live stream it. Mostly because I can work a lot faster if I'm not making videos. So that's the plan. So this particular build has been commissioned by somebody in the community, so that's why I'm doing it in the first place. But once it's completed, it will be available to the general public. I'll sell it on my website along with the WKNS and the Hudson and Western and that sort of thing. So I guess a quick overview of what I've gotten done so far, how big this area is, and what we're gonna do today, I guess. I will have to turn down my render distance just a little bit because I got my computer is doing a whole lot of stuff right now. So let's just turn it down to 3,000 meters. So anyway, how's everybody doing? It looks like you guys are all doing good. It's been a while. I can't even remember the last time that I did a live stream. I think it was, was it New Year's Eve, or was it just before New Year's Eve? I can't remember. Anyway, just catching up on the chat here. Port LA route I haven't touched that since probably the last time I did a live stream on it, to be perfectly honest. I've just been too preoccupied with working on this route, working on the P&B, trying to get my website up and running and doing Patreon stuff. So that's kind of been what has been absorbing my time for the most part. All right, so this particular build, if you're not familiar, the North Carolina Transportation Museum is in North Carolina. I literally know nothing else about it. The only information that I have gathered about it has been from their website and from Google and Google Earth. I've never been here. I have no photographs of it other than what I can find on Google and what some people have sent me. So I've just been working from Google Earth for the most part. The overall route size is probably only going to be about this big. I mean, the main focus here is the museum. I will cover some of the additional trackage, which I think is what, Norfolk Southern? I'm not even too sure. I think this is Norfolk Southern. So this is a DEM. Now I got to turn my render distance back up so we can actually see the DEM. Unless I accidentally deleted it. There it is. So we've got the UTM tiles underneath there. You can kind of see what I'm working with. The northern edge, I think this is the north, will be ending right around here. And then the southern edge, or the southwestern edge, will probably extend just beyond this Y here up to probably where the track ends, right over here, and perhaps up here. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time building all of this because it's very dense, like urban and suburban neighborhoods and stuff like that. Stuff that I really like to build and you know, model and that sort of thing. However, it's extremely time consuming, and I'm hoping to have this project done before the summertime. Hopefully, I'm aiming for the spring or sooner if I can just, you know, kind of get focused on it and get moving. But I don't know. This is just a lot of work. My main idea here so far has been focus on the main museum part, because that is the focus of this build. And then I can sort of begin to split my attention outward from there to some of the surrounding areas. So for the most part, I think I have the museum mostly built. Obviously, the track is all laid. And some stuff is modeled. I've got some scenes modeled here. There's obviously tons of detail that I can work into this, and I have all intentions of working tons of detail into the main part of this build. I am also working on a couple of structures for it, because this is sort of, these are like namesake type structures that really make it what it is. So the main building here is their back shops building. So I'm modeling that, and here I've got the rough model in the game. You have to ignore the textures on here. I just put a basic checkerboard texture on it so the game didn't give me a whole bunch of errors and stuff like that. But I am working on putting that together. It's got a whole bunch of problems with it right now because I'm still learning how to model. The other building that I'm trying to model here is the flu shop, which I think is also the gift shop. So again, you can see that I've got the model, for the most part, modeled. There's some more details that I need to add to it, like the rooftop and some like fire escape ladders and things like that. But this is pretty much the scale of it. I wanted to get it into the game as quick as possible, so I kind of knew how to, you know, what the footprint was going to be, and I could kind of build around it. So that is that. Obviously, it's going to be a little while for me to get those buildings finished and get them textured and completed and, you know, fully fleshed out. And I'm still kind of learning as I go, watching the Jersey trains go by outside. People text messaging me here. So yeah, I think that's kind of like, that covers the overview of, I don't know, of this build. What I plan on working on today, not really too sure. I've kind of started working on the surrounding area here, so we might do a little bit of that. Oh, you know what we can do? We will we'll work on the main line a little bit. There's some industry tracks around here that I need to model. So why don't we do that? You know, that way we're working on something that is at least track side, you know, and I'm not working on some crazy background buildings or anything like that, or background scenes. So just gonna peek at the chat here. Cool, lots of people watching. Looks like we got 90 people watching right now, which is great. Welcome. So let me, I've got Google Earth open here. I'm not gonna, I don't think I'm gonna switch to the Google Earth view. Sometimes I do that. I think we're just gonna work with our our F9 view here for a little bit. And I'll just kind of reference the Google Earth stuff on my own, so that way I don't have to keep like flicking back and forth on my stream deck and doing all that kind of stuff. Let's see here. So there's a couple of industries, like a scrap industry and something else sort of right around this bridge. So it looks like this scrap industry is out of service. And where is it located? Looks like it's located right around here. So let's see if we can start working in some track to that. Of course, this game is gonna want to spend 5 minutes pre-caching everything. There we go. Even though I've had this game open for a little while now. We'll open that up and make sure that we are on the proper layer. And let's see, since this looks like it's an out of service track, I am just gonna grab one of these tracks that I'm using over here. And a lot of this stuff is subject to change. A lot of the buildings, obviously the track, I'm trying to make this either with as many assets as possible, or excuse me, as few assets as possible that might be, you know, things that are not available on the download station or payware or anything like that. So I'm trying to keep it as friendly as possible, as I do with all of my builds. And if I need to make more stuff myself, I will try to make more stuff myself. It's a good learning experience. It's kind of forcing my hand into learning how to actually do 3D modeling and that sort of thing. I've actually been having a lot of fun with it. It was a real nightmare when I first started messing around with Blender, but I've actually since really begun to enjoy it. So that's been pretty cool so far. All right, so let's see the switch. Now, one of the difficult things with this, I'll show you, is the gradient. I mean, this is partly a product of the DEM and partly how the track is out here. I did look at some track, what do you call it, track schematics. And it is kind of like a ripply sort of deal. So let's see if we can connect up this junction properly. What I want to do is just turn off the absolute height on the track. Wow, this is really lagging on me. There it goes. And a lot of this is on a bend too, so if you know anything about building in trains, it is never fun to try to build on any sort of curvature. So let's see if we can kind of connect our junction right about here. And again, I'm trying to be as accurate as possible, but I'm not, you know, there's going to be certain things that are going to have to just have the artistic liberties taken to it, you know? And I'm okay with that. Blender has taken me a while to get the hang of. And I'm not even, you know, I'm only just starting to feel out how, you know, it actually works. By no means would I say I know what I'm doing in it yet. But it is like a trial by fire kind of thing. You really have to just start someplace and kind of pick things apart, I guess, as you go. So let's see. It looks like this sort of comes up to here. I'm trying to get an idea of where the edge of these facilities are. So then off of this track, we actually have a like a switchback up to this place right here. So we will lay this down here. Man, my computer's really lagging. I got music going. I got like 10 tabs open on... You know what? I got a ton of tabs open on Chrome. Let me close some of these out because I don't need them open right now. That's what's probably really dragging me down. Don't need all this crap open. Don't need that open. Don't need that open. Just need those two. Okay, cool. Maybe that'll smooth things out. Yeah, that seems all right. So yeah, there's this sort of a switchback here, which we will rough in. Obviously, I have no idea what building I'm going to put in place of this. And that will be kind of dependent on what I have available, and then we'll adjust the tracks from there. So this kind of connects over here that way. Straighten everything out. And again, I think this is all like on some kind of a grade. So we're going to have to work that out too. All right. Make that a little bit more of a gentle curve. But again, we'll make adjustments on the fly as we need to. Let's try to get an idea of what this grade looks like through here. If I can keep it sort of flat, I'm going to try to keep it sort of flat where I can, especially since this is like a siding. I would think that this would be fairly level. So let's just apply some heights here. A little bit of a grade on that, which is fine. And let's see, what's our height over here? I think that'll be okay. This kind of looks like a farm building of some kind. Maybe I will switch over to Earth so we can kind of look at it together. Let me, let's see if this works. Hopefully you guys will see Earth. It doesn't look like it's gonna work. All right, so we're not gonna do that. I don't know why it didn't work. Whatever. Probably because I don't have it full screen over here. I've got the YouTube chat open on one half of my monitor and then Google Earth on the other, so it's probably not going to show it. But you can open up Google Earth and, you know, or Google Maps and go to the Transportation Museum, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. Try to level things out a little bit here. So actually, you know, that might go down grade a little bit. Whoops. Yeah, I bet that does. Let's add a couple little spline points here. And let's see. Lower that to there. get those two to be the same. Just want to see. Wow, that cuts down really far. And I doubt it's that far below grade. So let's find like a happy spot somewhere in the middle. Where it's a little bit lower, but not, not quite that far. Let's try this. It's not too bad. Phone keeps going off. I think that looks like that's probably below the grade 22578. 22. Yes, that's a little bit. So we can come down maybe a bit more. And what kind of a grade is that? 1.93. That's fine for like an industrial kind of spur. I'm cool with that. All right, and then it kind of goes into this junkyard, but not quite. So let's work out the perimeter of this junkyard and see how we can kind of put this together. I'm not too worried about the terrain, like clipping out, you know, different areas underneath the track or anything like that. We can fix that. It's not a big deal. It would be nice if 611 would be in game. Is that not? Is this not it? Is this a different 611, or am I just out of my mind? Thought that was it. Whatever. All right. Let me get let's get a fence here. Let's see if we could find like a metal fence. What would that be? A like corrugated, or like a corrugated fence. Kind of like that. I can see it in my head which one I'm thinking of, but it's neither one of these. I don't know how you spell corrugated, so here we go. See it. Yeah, there we go. That's probably a good one right there. Not that one. That one's cool. I just wish it didn't say posted every single thing. That's a good candidate there too. What else we got? Concrete, not what I want. Oh, that's concrete. Corrugated, too bright. Sam fence concrete. Yeah, it's definitely concrete. Let's see, between these two, which one looks better? I think I'm gonna go with that first one I put down. So let's see. Looks like it's kind of weird. There's like a church like right over here. So it's kind of like behind this church. So let's see. Let's just rough this in. Goes down this road. Not going to be perfect with how this goes. And it seems to go right up to the tracks. And again, this seems to be like an out of service spur, so I'm not gonna worry too much about it. Let's see, I think we come all the way over to this road. Whoops. Yeah, this is like a big trash facility here. Looks like there's a couple different fences here also, which we can mess with. And then it goes all the way up to that main road. So let's see. And we'll just do something like that. And then break it up a bit. I just want to find a church to put down. That is a church, right? Yeah, it looks like a Baptist church or something, maybe. Maybe let me go into Street View. Again, I'm trying not to get that specific with what I'm doing. That's definitely a church. Yeah. But, you know, something as, you know, notable as like a church or, you know, certain buildings are very specific to a location. So it's good to have sort of those landmark things where you can, when you can. It doesn't work 100% of the time, but, you know, if you have the option to do something like that, or just to have something that represents it. I might not have a building that best represents this particular church, because it does appear to be sort of like a something similar to this, but not quite as big. Just a very basic, yeah, something like this, actually. This would be pretty good. And I say Baptist church like I have any idea what I'm talking about. I really don't know. All the church, every church looks pretty much the same to me. It's either got a steeple or it doesn't have a steeple, as far as I'm concerned. All right, that's there just as a placeholder. Let's maybe straighten out our roadways here and decide what we're gonna do with that. This is actually kind of supposed to be a dirt road, but we could switch that out in a minute. Let's just get everything kind of lined up the way that we want. I'm gonna leave a little bit of breathing room on the edge, just for the sake of it. We could join that up and then disjoin it. Oh, did it flip the... Oh, no, okay, we're good. Man, yeah, this game, sorry if it's kind of like the panning and tilting and stuff like that. It is a little jerky. The game is lagging a little bit. In fact, let me just turn down the draw distance even more. I think I need to build, maybe in 2021, I need to build a new computer that can handle streaming and doing all this stuff. All right, so that looks okay there. Just match that up on that side. This is fine. Let's get these connected. That's good. We're going to add an extra spline point here so we can add a straightened piece and kind of make this curve a little bit more like it follows the road, which I dig. We got to straighten this out too. Yeah. Cool. That looks good. I hate working on the grid at like these, you know, not parallel angles, these sort of juxtaposing angles. It really throws me off. My brain does not like to try to interpret things on a skewed angle like that. All right, so now the next thing we kind of have to make a decision about here is what height all of this is going to exist at. And I don't really care too much about that sort of accuracy, but I'd like to at least have it look okay. Like you're never gonna match, you know, all the grades of, you know, every area that you're trying to model or anything like that. So it's not even worth stressing over, but I do like to at least make it like visually nice, you know, for the game itself, you know, so a big ridge like that is just not gonna work. So I'm going to use the plateau tool. I'm going to turn down the sensitivity a little bit and use that just to kind of smooth things out a bit as best as you can with this game. It does not like when you do anything texturing or terrain related. This game is not a fan of any of that, especially when you're streaming. Austin Roberts, $4.99, looking great. Thanks, buddy. Much appreciated. Support is always appreciated. All right, let's see. That's looking good. Smooth this out just a bit more. It's, you know, it's important, even though I'm working with a DEM, it's important to still take some artistic license where you need to get things to actually, you know, look good in the game. All right, I think that's looking pretty all right. You know, I mean, the other thing is terrain isn't flat. You know, it's going to have a lot of elevation changes. There's little hills, molehills, and, you know, ridges and things like that. So you don't need to have perfectly smooth hillsides or anything like that. Don't ever waste your time. I remember way back in the day on the trains forums, people would spend so much time trying to get these like perfect hillsides, and they would like lay out road splines and use the plateau tool and set the heights so that it would be like this perfectly smooth hillside. I'm like, why are you wasting your time with that, man? None of this is ever perfect. You know, nature doesn't look like that. So it's not worth the time or the stress to do that kind of thing. Embrace the imperfections is what I'm trying to say. Because that's just how life is. Cool. All right. All right, I'm not liking how this looks though. Let's get this at least somewhat in a reasonable spot. How are we gonna do this? Yeah, I don't mind the track being a little bit buried there. I think that's fine. All right, that's probably good. All right, let me look over at Google Earth here. Where am I? All right, so I see we got a couple little houses sort of tucked in here. Now this is like one of these really highly detailed scenes. I'm not gonna get too into that today. I kind of want to just get some of this stuff roughed out. Like if you look on Google, I don't know how much we could see if I go to the F9 view here, but I mean, this is a huge thing with a lot of piles of garbage and stuff like that. So we're just gonna kind of get started on that. I see a couple buildings that I can place down right away. One of them is mine, one of my assets, which I think, hold on a minute, looks pretty similar. Let's see if I can find it. It's one of these industrial ones. By the way, if you haven't already, you can go over to approachmedium.com, my website, and download a whole lot of assets that I've ported into the game for free. So go head over there, check it out, and while you're at it, grab a t-shirt and some, you know, whatever else. Let's see. Yeah, I released pretty much 3/4 of the Patreon asset packs that I created for last year on my site there. So you can head on over there and check that out. Let's put one of these down. Wow, that footprint is not quite the same size. What else do I got here? It's a little bit bigger. Might have to find something else. Either that or I do have an asset and I'm just totally blanking on what it is. Suburban Fire Department. Utility truck, no. All right, so we'll just start with that. So these little houses that are over here kind of look like the JR, those JR houses. So we're gonna use that. One of these like little bungalow style houses. Where is it? Right here. So I think it looks like there's maybe just 2 or 3 houses there. So we'll just kind of do that. And actually, maybe we can add one of my buildings too. It was at the bottom. Maybe it wasn't at the bottom. This one. Yeah. All right. I like that. Couple little rustic houses there. All right, so let's just get them sort of lined up with our road here. Doesn't have to be perfect. 48.3 looks good. So kind of just throw those back there. Set that one back a little bit further. This guy's kind of like this. Could I make a really wait, where did that go? Make a really detailed traffic light? I probably not. I'm not that skilled with Blender, so I don't think I'd be able to make a detailed traffic light. I would love to get some better traffic lights in the game, trust me. So that is sort of on my radar. Vehicles and traffic lights and that sort of thing. I'm trying to. There's a lot of people porting content into this game right now. Who's his name? MSGS Apper. He's porting a lot of the similar assets that I am into the game. So I'm trying to think outside the box and get some different things that other people aren't thinking about in terms of like vehicles, background buildings, little, detail odds and ends, kind of stuff like that. You know, guys know how I like to build. I like to build all these background scenes. So, I'm thinking more along the lines of that sort of thing. So, yeah. Yeah, anything that's like street markings or, things like that, I definitely have my eyeball on whenever, excuse me, whenever I can. All right, so let's see. We got a couple houses on this main street here. I always like to, and I talk about this all the time, get a few things down and then start filling the area in with trees and stuff like that, because all of this grid and all this empty space makes me anxious. So I like to try to just begin to get things worked in there. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be complete. I just really like to begin to get things in there at all, just to see how they begin to shape up, and then you can kind of finesse things from there. That's just sort of the way that I have been working, at least as of late, and that works for me. Okay, I saw somebody ask a question about the P&B. The P&B will be, I'll be, starting next week, I'm going to do a whole bunch of work on the P&B, so hopefully I can kind of bang out a couple of episodes for you guys. Again, the problem with making videos is that I work a lot slower, because I have to do a lot of the video production process with it. But my goal is I would really like to get the P&B done like this year. I don't want to say like I'm over it, because I'm not over it. I mean, I love the P&B and stuff, but I'm like, I want to just get it to a point where it's in a good place and I can get it out and say that, hey, this is like in working condition, and then kind of provide updates over time as I add, new details or, things like that. That sort of thing. But it's so hard for me, man, because I'm like, it's just, there's so many different projects that I want to work on, and there's just not enough time to do it all, even though like I'm kind of doing this full time right now. I can't say I'm kind of doing it full time. I am doing it full time. I don't have another job. So I'm doing this full time right now, but everything is so time consuming to do builds. So, I'm working on the P&B, I'm working on this. I've got the Port LA. I've got a bunch of Patreon benefits that I've got to sort of fulfill each month. So all that stuff just kind of stacks up really quick. Plus I need to have some of my own me time where I can just kind of veg out and watch TV or play some video games, or, can't forget about my wife. She needs some time with me too. So, it all adds up. And I'm not complaining. Don't take that as me complaining or anything like that. I'm pretty happy with the fact that I've been able to focus on this sort of stuff over the past year. I can't believe it's been a year. All right, so we're just kind of roughing that in. Yeah, we got those houses there. So let's get a couple. Let's get some trees worked in here. And again, I've just been sort of copying and pasting clumps of trees here and there, as I always do. And just kind of hope and pray that I don't accidentally paste over the UTM tile underneath. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do that. And we'll start to move these around a little bit. And I hate when these trees get kind of like overlapped on each other. It's kind of a pain, especially with these higher, you know, these 3D trees. They take up a lot of render power. So if you could space them out a little bit, that usually helps. Usually helps your cause quite a bit. My nose is getting dry and itchy, as it always does when I stream. I don't know why. All right, and as you guys can see, I'm using spline roads for now. You know, I am making handmade roads in certain situations. Like if we go up right across from the museum here on this main strip, definitely needs hand-laid roads because it's a very unique road layout and I want it to look as accurate as possible. So I spent a lot of time trying to make this look exactly how it does on Google Earth. But there's no way I'm doing hand-laid roads for like neighborhoods back here. That's just way too time consuming. So I'm just going to kind of blend them in. Like as I get away from the main track and the main focus areas, I'm going to blend them in. Any secondary roads and things like that, it's just going to be spline roads. It's fine. All right, let's see. We need to delete some. Let's make sure we didn't paste over the UTM. Okay, we're good. Spread these guys out just a bit. Delete a few more. Doesn't have to. We're not doing like a, you know, we're not populating a super densely, you know, a dense forest or anything like that. So we can sort of spread these out a bit. And then, you know, once you add some more ground texture underneath, it sort of fills in those gaps a little bit. And then obviously some spline shrubs and some spline grasses and stuff like that on the edge. You know, for the most part, you're not going to be viewing the route from this sort of an angle, so I'm not terribly worried about that. All right, I think that looks good. I think we're good to get some texture going down here. Now, the textures that I've been using some new textures. Well, not new. I don't know. They're new for me. Let's save really quick because this game makes me really sketched out sometimes. CM Doc, $10. PNB Phase 2 release date 2/2/22. Yeah, you might not be wrong, man. You're not. I mean, I'm doing my best. Doing my best. Thank you for the support, though. All right, so these textures I am using right now are this Pine Hill grass. Actually brought to my attention, I think, by CM Doc. Maybe somebody else. It was somebody in my Patreon stream. But it has a much darker color texture to it, which is really nice. It's not as bright green as some of these other ones. Again, I'm not using the JR textures because they're not on the download station. So I'm just trying to use what I can. These ones are actually really nice. So I'm using those. And of course, I'm always using the city textures by S. Myers. Always going to be using those because they're just fantastic. But these do a really good job at just being kind of like regular grass and underbrush and that kind of deal. So let's fill this area in. And I am just feeling my machine struggling here. For some reason, is there anything else I can close out? Maybe if I turn off... Nah, whatever. I was going to say maybe if I turn off the 3D view in Google, but I kind of need it. There was another texture batch that I was using too. Let's see if I can find it. It's sort of tucked in here. It might have been like one of the FX textures. You got city dirt. I want to say it was like FX underbrush or something. Oh, that was it right there. Where'd it go? FX forest floor. Yeah, the FX textures are quite nice too. Wow. Let's holy moly. Let's turn some of this stuff down too. Is that going to affect how this looks? Yeah, we're good. The only reason it's giving me issues is because I'm streaming, plus I have Google Earth open and that sort of thing. That's the only reason I'm getting kind of laggy. So just kind of like roughly texture this. And maybe throw a couple more trees over here. And we're going to add some driveways. I'm trying to remember what driveway I used. Probably this one. I know it was the Dave Snow one. I tend to use a lot of the same assets from build to build. 12 foot. It was probably this one. I just can't bring myself to putting down a house or any kind of houses and not including a driveway. I just can't do it. It just doesn't look right. So gotta include the driveways, even if they're just very simple, you know, whatever, nothing fancy, not a big deal. Put a couple more trees around here. Where's the ones that I really like for close-ups? These ones. Yasin. The Yasin trees. These ones are nice. They're small. They seem to sort of fit the bill pretty nice for like close-up, I don't know, trackside type scenes and that sort of deal. All right. So we got that sort of roughed in a bit. We've got our church there. Let's just add some really quick roughed up texture. We're gonna use... Do I have a dirt texture that I'm using? Like plain old dusty dirt? I do. Where is it? It's one of these. FX Dusty Soil. Yeah, this is a good one. So we're just gonna sort of cover this area. Because this is a dusty looking location. All right, so what I want to do next, we've got this sort of roughed into place. I want to just take a look at that other spot where the other switchback is. And then I want to make sure I'm not missing anything in particular. Let's fill in the grass over here too for this church. All right. So let's see, we've got this other switch going over here. And I just want to like eyeball what in the world this facility is here. Looks like the track goes inside of the building. We got like a metal roof. I wish, is there a way to have Google Earth tell me like what a building is, like without having to go to Google Maps? Okay, I can't like right click and be like, what is this? Or what's here? This also looks to be some kind of a out of service looking track, but I'm gonna continue to model it anyway. Oh yes, I guess for anybody joining in right now, let's just take a look at, because how long have I been streaming for? An hour? 48 minutes? Okay. So for anybody just joining, let's just take a peek really quick at what I've done already over at the museum. If you guys didn't see it earlier on, I guess I'll have to turn my render distance back up just a bit so we can actually see everything. There we go. So once again, North Carolina Transportation Museum in obviously North Carolina, USA. Just doing my best to model what I see. Like I said, I've never been to this location. I'm just working off of photos, Google Earth, and there's a couple videos on YouTube. So I've been kind of just scrubbing through those and doing my best. I've got a few scenes over here modeled, which I think look pretty decent so far. And just kind of trying to do my best to use the buildings that we already have in the game to represent structures that are there. Obviously, I gotta do I can only do so much with the roundhouse and the turntable and stuff like that. So this one is from TBS. I am gonna build the backshop building, this main building that you see over here, since that is sort of a notable structure, as well as the flue shop. There's a couple other buildings off to the left here that I could do. I was hoping to get some diagrams from the museum themselves, but they haven't gotten back to me about any of that. But I'm going to do my best to actually try to model these correctly as best as possible. So, yeah. So that's where we're at with that. The size of the map is overall, that's about it. Pretty much where you see the track laid is about all I'm going to model. I don't even know if I'm going to go, all the way up to the top left there, because that's just kind of really densely populated suburban urban areas, so I don't know if I'm gonna mess with that, but we'll see. As things develop, we'll see how this sort of takes shape. All right, so let's go back over here. We'll bring back our interface and drop our render distance once again. And let's see, I think I had, so these are people, some industrial buildings. Let's see what I've got bookmarked here. Just to see if any of these will work. It saves me the trouble of having to thumb through tons of other crap. This place doesn't look like a factory. It really looks like it's some kind of like a farm sort of thing. Actually, it's pretty similar to this building, so we might try to do this. What else is in this ballpark? Maybe something like that we could use. All right, that's industrial buildings, and my pick lists are not really all encompassing. I don't put everything on there that I use. A lot of times it's just, if I'm looking for something else in not content manager, if I'm looking for something else in the asset list, and I happen to, yes, this is very similar to that building. And I happen to come across something that looks good for another project that I'm working on, that's usually when I throw it into the pick list. Otherwise, a lot of times when I just put things down, I'll just pick them off the route. And in some cases, I just sort of pile up stuff on the route anyway, and just kind of grab it when I need it. All right. And I'll worry about, if I pick like something that's like payware or not available, some kind of third-party thing that I can't package up. I'll worry about that later. I just want to get things down now. If I need to find something more specific later on, that's fine. Or if I need to substitute something because it was payware or, third-party that's vaporware or anything like that, I'll deal with that later. Usually what I do before I get close to releasing something is I'll go into Content Manager, look at the map, bring it up, look at all the dependencies that are with it, and then sort of begin to sort things out. This game is making things exceedingly difficult with that because now assets are becoming marked as payware because they're being used in other N3V routes, I guess. I don't know. It's making things incredibly difficult. So if you don't have a certain version of the game, you won't be able to have access to certain assets, but other people will if they bought a previous version of the game. It's really confusing, and it's extremely frustrating, which is why I'm kind of on board with just making my own stuff from now on. So, all right, so that building looks kind of good for that. We got like another warehousey looking thing over on the other side. This might be too big for what we need. But you know what? I'm going to put it off to the side for now. I'm wondering if maybe one of my buildings might work. I feel like I need to go revisit some of these industrial buildings that I've ported because they seem a little small. They, you know, I don't know. They're not out of scale. Like I measured the doors and all that kind of stuff, but the overall building size seems very, very small. So I don't know. I might need to go and scale some of these things to a different size. I don't know. Again, still learning. Don't shoot me. I'm still learning all this stuff. This might be a good option right here, this building. And also I've been trying to add LOD to stuff too, which has been quite a interesting learning experience as well. Another weird peculiarity of this game is that it's been reverting my assets to like previous cloned versions of themselves. It's really bizarre. I submitted a ticket to N3V, but they haven't really addressed it because they're not supporting TANE anymore. Maybe what we could do is use two of these next to each other. I don't really, like I said, know what this place is. I don't think I want to use that. We could probably make use of this thing. Does that go? No, it doesn't go straight through. All right, well, we'll try to make use of that. What is this place? There's like another like warehousey bit that kind of goes on this side. So I don't know. We could try. Kind of looks like it might be a storefront, maybe. Might have to kit bash something a little bit. Not one of these. Let's see if I go to store. Just what we get here. It's an Aldi. Just looking to see if maybe there's a way I could kit bash something like a storefront into this somehow. You know, like clip it in. Like I'm not going to use this particular asset, but do something sort of, you know, like this. Man, it just blows my mind how many really not great assets are still all over this place, all over the place in this game. Like stuff that's just really bad. I don't want to be one to like critique other people's work because that's, you know, that's not my goal, but really it's a matter of like stuff that's just not, I don't know. Like this one's okay, but it's a little blurry. You know, it's like we really need to update a lot of this stuff. And I don't want to, I'm not going to go on some big rant about how we need all these new assets for this game or anything like that. But because it's just sort of like beating a dead horse at this point. Y'all get the idea. Nope. This would work, but I know for sure that this is not, that's a payware thing, so I'm not going to mess with that. All right, so maybe we don't, maybe I don't concern myself too much with that. This is why I do, this is why I like doing this stuff kind of off camera, because there's a lot of time where I'm just sitting here thumbing through stuff, trying to find an asset and trying different things that may or may not work, going on the download stations, trying to see if I can find something there. And most of the time, I'll just leave it and then kind of like come back and revisit it. Because like I said, a lot of times I'll start working on something else and then I'll come across the asset that I was looking for, you know, whatever. So, oh, this might work actually. Maybe we could do this. Let's try this. Because I kind of like the front of this based on what I'm seeing in Google here. So maybe what we could do is somehow, how can we make this work? Well, let's figure out this building. This one is pretty close to the track side. We're gonna have to level out this area too a little bit. So I'm just trying to see if there's a way to mix and match a bit here. What can we do? We're not worried about that. These do look like they're two separate facilities. One definitely has some loading space on the side. What's the rotation here? I think we'll be able to kit bash something here. Let's make sure we're kind of in the right ballpark of this. Yeah, we're pretty good. Yeah. Let's see, we can kind of do something like this. Where's the actual storefront? Oh, it's like set back a little bit. All right. So if we can get our rotation exact, we might be able to match this up fairly decently. All right. Let's try to get this somewhat level, I guess. Let's see what the... Grab the track height from here, and we'll just see how far off we are with everything. All right, so that's kind of a big difference there. Not really too worried. We can kind of level this area out where these other buildings are going to go. And then let's try to level this. I don't care if that's a little bit of a different height. I think that'll be fine. I just need these two buildings to be at the same height together. And then I think what we could do maybe is just drop this one a little bit down. Yeah, it doesn't look so bad. Kind of blend all this together a little bit. Turn up the sensitivity on this thing. All right, that's looking all right. We can spend a little bit more time on that in a minute. Let's get these other buildings sort of in place here. I'm not even sure if I want to use... I don't even think I want to use these now. Just looking at what's here. Again, having absolutely no idea what this facility is. Oh, there was a... There was an asset that I used on the P&B that might work pretty well here. I wonder if I have it bookmarked. Oops. I thought I did. I have absolutely no idea what it's called. It might be some kind of shed, which is basically what I'm looking for. Like another open shed like this. Actually, let me just search open shed. Ah, excuse me. I had to burp. Let's see. Is that it? It's just that. Okay. Let's just go back to shed then. Yeah, I might have to just swing over to the P&B quick just to grab the asset that I'm thinking of if I can't find it sort of quickly. Actually, these are not... Wow, that's really tiny. That's kind of what I'm looking for, but... a bit bigger is what I need. All right, none of this Aussie crap is going to work. Oh no, no. Getting warmer though. Oh man, my shoulder's itchy. Crushed. Ooh, these are good for this scrapyard thing. So see what I'm saying? Like I come across like random stuff that I'm like, oh yes, that'll work for something else. So while I'm looking for one thing, I'm finding stuff for something else. Ooh, casting shed. So small. Why is everything so small? That's the other thing that I've noticed in this game with a lot of assets is that they really don't have like a big enough footprint to like be of any use. Like I don't think that they're scaled wrong. They're just not big enough. I don't know. It's kind of weird. What's this? Ooh, this might work. It says engine shed. Oh, it's got tracks in it. Dang. Man, I would love to have like a curated game, like version of my game that only has the assets that I'm ever going to use in it. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't have to thumb through all this nonsense. I want just a totally sterile version of trains with nothing. I'll port everything in that I want. That might work. This building here. You know, and then only the content that is in there is content that I'm going to use. Is this going to be free? Nope. Plain and simple. Nope. These things take way too much time. I mean, one day it'll be free after, you know, I can sort of, I guess, compensate the time that I've sunk into it. But, you know, you're talking about hundreds of hours of time into projects like this. I mean, I'm going to sell it for like a reasonable price, but it's not going to be free. That said, I'm not opposed to like free content or anything like that. It's just that, you know, certain things you gotta, that's a nice thing. I like this thing. You know, you gotta think about your time. Time is money, right? So, and right now, all the money that I make doing this is helping pay for my bills. So, thank you for the support. All right, I am not finding what I want. We're gonna jump over to the P&B really quick, which is really gonna slow things down. Spoilers ahead. Where are we here? P&B 2021. This might take a minute to load up. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of work on the P&B. Between me and 44 Willies, he's been helping out a tremendous amount getting phase 1 up to date. I've been working on phase 2. He's been putting in all sorts of stuff. I'll do a full, I don't know, overview video or live stream or something like that at some point to show you guys everything that we've updated. You've probably seen some sneak peeks of it from in my last the P&B tour, whatever video. So you could see some of it there, but he's put in a lot of work on phase 1. Which is really helping me stay focused on phase 2 or whatever the rest of the, however the rest of the thing is going to come along. But yeah, so lots of progress has been made. Hopefully this doesn't crash the game. This stupid building. This is the one that I'm looking for. What is this called? FMA wood wall shed. I would have came across it eventually, but yeah, this is what I want. All right, don't save. All right, no spoil. You didn't see any spoilers. Nothing was spoiled. Sorry. We'll save that for another day. All right, let's see. Back to, where is it? I guess while we're waiting, I'll put the link to the Discord on here. Sorry, mods, you guys are gonna get this. So if you guys want to join my Discord, here comes the link. If I can remember how to do this, make sure you read the rules, please. Let's see, this is gonna expire after, we'll do 12 hours just for anybody watching. Number of uses, no limit, and grant. Okay, copy. Yeah, so just make sure you read the rules, please. There we go. Have fun. Nameless Grifter, what's up, buddy? Happy birthday! Nameless Grifter, it's his birthday today. Say happy birthday to him in the chat. He's a buddy of mine from school, from college, and from work, from the real world. From the before times. There we go. This is the thing that I wanted. All right, so this will fill up some space. I know I opened up the session. I always work within the session, but I have it locked. So switch it to the route layer. The reason that I do that is that certain things get saved in the session layer, like your environmental settings, certain other things like crossing. I don't know. It's almost anybody's guess exactly what gets saved in the session layer. So I just do all my work within the session layer, keep it locked so you don't accidentally put all your, buildings on the session layer. And then just create like a session that's just like called base session or something like that and just kind of build off of that. Okay. All right, so we got this thing doing the thing here. This looks like it's all paved, so we're going to throw some pavement in there. We've got this cool shed, a couple cool sheds. We're going to kind of lay that out. I don't know, they're kind of like on juxtaposing angles, but not terribly worried about that. Again, doesn't have to be perfectly accurate. After all, I'm not modeling necessarily this whole region to be perfectly accurate or something like that. I'm really modeling the museum. All right, so I think maybe we want to bring this closer to the actual height. Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's fine. We'll use this height. Kind of like gently bring some of this up a little bit. Just so it's a little bit closer to the track height and we don't have like some crazy weird, I don't know, floating stuff or whatever. I like to use the plateau tool for this because it kind of like averages the height out if you do it right. So you kind of can get some nice smooth slopes if you really finesse it. All right, I think I'm kind of happy with that. We'll throw down some ground textures. Yeah, that'll be cool. All right, let's see. Let's get some ground textures down, and then I'm gonna take probably a quick break for a minute to use the bathroom and grab a glass of water because I'm almost out of coffee and I did not bring any water with me, which is not a smart move when you are talking for a long time. All right, so let's get some textures down. And I usually like to just start with this. This looks like it's kind of paved and it's all like broken up pavement. So I usually just start with this city street texture. And I'll just kind of lay that down and then kind of go from there with the texturing to break things up and mix it up a little bit. And somebody's excited to have the WKNS. I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it. That's always good. That is, after all, why I make this content, so people can enjoy it and have some fun. So always glad to hear that sort of thing. Cool. Yeah, all right. That looks somewhat accurate. And then it's almost nestled in the trees, so we can just populate some trees up in there and be in decent shape. What we'll do is throw down some ground textures. And we'll have to figure out how we're going to blend in this track and stuff like that, but we'll get there. I'm hoping by the end of this stream today, we'll have a decent amount of this little section that we've been working on, you know, sort of somewhat completed. Not detailed, but, you know what I'm saying. All right. Looks like there's a little bit of parking back on this side. There's like a dirt road and a house. I'm gonna get rid of this building here because we don't need that. I was using, what am I using for a dirt road? What dirt road is this? I think it's a TB run. Yep, TB road. We'll go with the smaller one. Kind of looks like it comes up from here and then just sort of comes over this way. Loosely. Just straighten that out because I hate when I hate when roads are not really, you know, I don't know, when they kind of just look a little ripply. Doesn't look right to me. Even when it's intentional, I don't know, just doesn't always vibe with me. All right, so we got that. Let me grab another one of these little bungalow houses from over here. And we'll just slap that guy right here. Kind of like a lone house in between these two industries, which is kind of cool. And with that, I'm going to take a like a 2-minute break, and we'll get right back to it. So I'll be right back in just a moment. All right, I am back. I got water this time. How's this looking? Okie doke, let's get back to this. Let me bring up Google Earth. Got a couple more houses on this main road. Let's try to get this all like filled in. I think would be a pretty good goal for the most part. So there was a couple houses that are over here. We could use some of mine. Let's see if we can find some decent variety ones. Have no idea what style houses exist down in this part of the country. And to be perfectly frank, I don't really care because the correct building or housing asset probably doesn't exist. So I'm happy to just use mine and happy to skip this song because I don't want lyrics. All right. Again, we're just gonna ballpark the rotation on these. Doesn't have to be perfect. I usually like to try to line it up with the next nearest parallel thing, like a road. So that looks close enough. A lot of times I get really hell-bent on making sure it's exactly the right rotation, but you know, sometimes you have to just cut your losses. Diminishing returns, you know? See a manly sip. There you go. Only have a little bit of coffee left, so that's all you get. Right. Got a couple of houses here. And since this is kind of really close to the right of way, we might want to, you know, spend some time detailing some of this. But I'm not going to spend an overly amount of time. We need to add some terrain underneath here, though, don't we? Just click that a whole bunch of times. And then, again, we can use the plateau tool to try to smooth this out a little bit so it's not such an aggressive curve. 44 Willies, $5. Thank you so much, my man. I don't know how long you've been tuned in for, but I was talking about you before. Also, thank you for the donation earlier. I saw that show up in my PayPal. Much appreciated. Let's see. We've been streaming for a little over an hour, I think. I don't even know. Hour and 23 minutes. So, not too bad. Probably go, let's see, it's 5:30 now. I'll probably go for another hour. I got nothing else to do. Play some video games later, and that's about it. Always cover your mouth when you cough. Even if you're home alone. Just a good habit to have. Alright, that's probably satisfactory enough. If I need to tweak it further, I can tweak it. This is all just fill anyway. You know, in real life, they're not going to use a whole lot of material to do this sort of thing. Use as little material as possible. There we go. And got that there. This is kind of like somebody's backyard, so am I hitting the right button here? This is not working. There we go. So we'll just fill this in with some green grass. Quick, and then I usually go over it a couple times with some different textures just to blend everything together and add some variety and make it less blocky looking. so let's grab, I don't want to do this. Just copy and paste just a couple of trees here. And we'll do-si-do these into place. Is this enough space? I might want to move this back just a smidge. Maybe up to here. Because I want to put some parking up front. Alright, we're pretty good in there. We could even go a little bit further. Yeah, that's fine. That'll be okay, I think. Let's just move some of these trees around so they're a little bit more spread out, I guess. Mixed up, I should say. And then we can grab a couple other ones also. Some of these guys, sprinkle them in. Looks like there might be a fence in somebody's backyard over here, so we might try to work that in a bit. A little bit of a property line thing going on there, and then we also have some trees through here, so we'll kind of start sprinkling some of those in, and we'll mix them up as needed, so it doesn't look like we're following such a pattern. And there's another tree variety that we're missing. I think it's this one. So yeah, there we go. If it looks like there's too many one tree type, just back it up a little bit, backpedal a little bit, just delete them. Not a big deal. You could always add them back if you need to. All right, we're gonna try to develop this scene a little bit more. One of these. Start working in some of this dusty stuff. Kind of follow the road a little bit. Helps soften the line. And then this is kind of like a, I don't know, parking area or what this is. But that'll work for me. And then, let's see, let's add some more darker stuff underneath the trees. Blend it like that. I feel like there was one more texture that I was using, but I'm not gonna worry about it right now. As soon as I find it, then I can work it in. Blend this a little bit more, and then we're gonna start trying to get some grasses and shrubs up in here too. Maybe like what the right of way looks like. Yeah, it's pretty cut out. And we can probably get some trees back here because it's like directly, what I'm seeing on Google at least is like directly behind this building here. It's like nestled into the trees. So I want to get that effect. We could definitely achieve that really quickly. Nose is so itchy. I guess that's what happens when you got a big old schnoz like I do. Just sucking in all the dust in the air constantly. Let's see, I lost my train of thought here. Oh yeah, I was gonna copy and paste some of these trees. Let's grab a bigger sample size. Maybe right here. And I can't stand when the grid is mixed up like this and it's on a perpendicular angle. It's a real pain in the neck. It's not going to let me paste. Dang. So there's two different settings. If you guys didn't know, when you're copying and pasting things, I've probably mentioned this at some point. When you're copying and pasting things, there's two different settings here where this, just ignore whatever this says, add and replace. I guess that makes sense. Essentially, when you go and use this first setting, this first one here is the default setting. If you paste something down, it'll overwrite what is there. So maybe I could show you a quick example of that. Let's go to an area where there is no UTM tile. So let's say I place a whole bunch of these drive-ins here, just for the sake of this argument. Now, when I want to go paste, with that first option, it's going to overwrite anything that is there if it's in that hitbox. So it overwrites it. With the other setting, add, it will sort of just allow you to combine them. So this is good to do when you have UTM tiles on a DEM because you don't have to worry about accidentally overwriting the UTM tile. However, what happens is you can end up in a situation like this where you've got so many assets sort of stacked on top of each other that it's just game breaking. So you know, whatever. I just figured I'd show you guys that there are two different paste options for when you copy and paste. Use them to your discretion. I usually like to have it on the default setting where it'll sort of overwrite stuff. That way I don't have to worry about trees stacking on top of each other and within each other. But when you have UTM tiles underneath, which are that satellite view, the game sees that as an asset. So that hitbox, that UTM tile, takes up the entire area that it's in. So you can't really like place things in there without it causing a, you know, whatever. So that's that. Pro tip number 1 for the day. What am I doing here? But it can be just a pain in the butt when you're trying to, you know, do stuff like what I'm trying to do here. But, you know, it's not the end of the world. You just mix up some trees. Now, the other thing is, you know, this is something that just sort of occurred to me when I was doing this, like, yesterday night or something like that, working on the route. These trees, I'm not looking at, when I pick, like, groups of trees and stuff like that for foresting, I'm not looking at, like, species variety and, like, what they are and if they are actually grow in these locations or anything of that. I'm really just looking at like color and texture and just trying to make sure that there's enough variety in terms of like dark greens and light greens and height, you know, that sort of make it interesting and realistic. You know, you go out into the woods and the forest isn't all one shade of green. It's not all trees that are the same height. Obviously that's because there's different species of trees and stuff like that. But you know, I'm not focusing on that kind of thing. I'm just trying to get the overall look and texture that actually makes some sense with, you know, the build that I'm working on. So that's that also. All right, so let's lower our track. Let's bury our track a little bit here. Just slightly. And we're gonna copy this height, paste it over here too. And we could even maybe raise it up just ever so slightly. Yeah, whatever, that's good enough. So what we could do is we'll add a little bit of my favorite thing with the terrain tool. Just kind of make some areas that kind of show through to the ties, kind of cover it up or don't cover it up so much. It just kind of looks like, you know, like the rainwater has sort of washed over the area and flooded it or whatever. I don't know. That's just what it looks like to me. What is the name of the dirt texture? It is FX Dusty Dirt? FX Dusty Soil. So that's that. In fact, we're going to use a little bit more of that over here. And I'm trying to be really careful with the grasses that I'm picking and that I'm using. I'm trying to be very careful with the variety that I'm using, because I know at some point I'm going to try to port this into Trains 19, and I really get frustrated at myself when I'm like, oh my god, I use so many different grasses. Why did I do that? I need to have some consistency, because it just makes it so hard to like replace if you've got too much variety, you know? So one thing that I usually like to do, and I've been doing it kind of backwards this whole time right now, before I really get too involved in ground texturing, is to actually get some grass down and some shrubs, and sort of just begin working that in, because that makes a huge visual difference with how you texture things. So we're gonna kind of begin to work some of this stuff in. Maybe this will come out a little bit further. So we got that, and I saw there's kind of a big terrain gap here. Do I care about that? I don't think I care about that. I think that that's fine. I'm gonna even it out just a little bit though. How do we want to do this? Let's do that. All right, everybody, you guys that are kind of like heading out and stuff like that, see ya. Thanks for hanging out. Catch you next time. Seems like there's a couple people heading out all at once, and I'm trying not to name everybody's name. Here we go. Because this would have been built up kind of on fill anyway. It's just that, like, when you use the what is it? Not the plateau tool. This tool, the smooth spline height tool, underneath like a road or track or something like that, it's very, very sharp on the angles that it generates. So you want to just kind of smooth them out just a bit. All right, that's good. And we'll cover up the end of our track here. I always like to do this. There we go. Kind of, I always like it when one rail is a little bit longer than the other, kind of, you know, at the end of the track, like it's, I don't know, just covered up a little bit. There we go. Cool. So let's grab some more shrubs. I'm not going to go to that grass just yet. I'm still using this JVC shrub spline, kind of like as an underbrush sort of thing. It fills up space nicely, even though it's sort of like that billboard style. You know, it's just flat. It's got a lot of texture and a lot of color to it. And it fills that space, you know, underneath the trees really, really well. And that, I think, is really key to working with these speed trees, because they just don't really fill out an area quite the same way that the old billboard trees used to, which is kind of strange if you think about it, but I don't know. It is what it is. That's looking good. And we can add maybe whatever that BNBY grass. Let's grab that. Just as an additional texture up in here. And then, you know, the other thing that I like to use is actual shrub assets to also break things up. So let's see. So that's coming together kind of nicely. And then there's actually, if we grab this shrub again, there's these other ones here that are a little bit smaller and more spaced out, so we can kind of get a little bit of texture in there too. But let's add a couple shrubs, some of these RMM shrubs, and you know, do my sunken in technique. That adds like a nice little bit of texture, and that's what this is all about. So we'll just drop it down a bit. And there we go. Now it's kind of broken things up a little bit. Got a little texture. Got a little bit of color, a lot of dark greens, a little bit of light green, and then some yellows in there. I like that. It's good. We can kind of maybe put a couple over here too. Kind of make it look kind of overgrown, since that's what this is. Again, I don't really know what that industry specifically is. The other one that I like to use is the one, so I use this Cust 75 and then 76. They're two different styles, so you can see that this 75 is kind of more like curly leaves, like long, thin curly leaves. And this 76 one is sort of a little bit more fluffy looking. And I find that this one looks really, really good, sort of tucked a little bit further back underneath the trees. And it looks just like a big shrub, or, you know, like a underbrush kind of thing. It blends really, really nicely when you mix the two. So give that a try on your own builds. I like that quite a bit. Cool. Let me save quick, just in case, because you never know with this game. Oh man, my hands are starting to cramp up. All right, what else is on? So it looks like right over here from the bridge down the switch, there's a bit of a tree line. So let's incorporate that. Just trying to get an idea what this sort of property looks like. So let's work in this tree line a bit over here. Just kind of sprinkle in some different trees, and then we'll kind of mix them up from there. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let's see, did we do that one? Yes. Try to get a decent variety so it's not all just one solid color. There we go. And it doesn't look like it's a solid line of trees, so it's okay to have some gaps. Let's get rid of, that's probably one too many. Maybe move those up a little bit. Yeah, and then you know what, we'll work in some of that underbrush on this side too, so that way this actually kind of feels a little bit more completed by the time we start wrapping up this stream. Okay. So I think it's really important with this grass, when you're using this JVC dark green grass, if you stretch it out, you'll notice that there's like two sides to it. The right side kind of feels a little bit more rigid and straight, and then the left side is kind of a little bit more tapered. And I just realized that it's actually really dark in here. Can you guys still see me? Let me turn on my light really quick. I didn't realize how dark it got real quick here. There we go, that's better. Anyway, so with this grass, you'll notice that one side is a little bit more of a flat edge and the other side is a little bit more tapered. So I don't know which way it goes when you stretch it out. It seems like, yeah, usually I just kind of eyeball it. But anyway, what I'm getting at here is I like to try to keep that tapered edge on the track side, and then that more flat, rigid edge tucked away. There we go. So then you get a little bit more of a blended, I don't know, blended grass line, I guess you could call it. All right. So yeah, usually I kind of work my way up from that sort of grass spline asset to this shrub, and then kind of begin to work in some of the 3D shrubs where I need them. And these shrubs are the same way as that grass. There's kind of like a flat side and a more tapered side. I don't really pay too much attention to that since I'm sort of tucking them further underneath under the trees, so it doesn't matter so much, but yeah, it's just something to sort of think about. Food for thought, I guess. How long have I been working on this route? Since right at the beginning of January. So only a few weeks now. Or we're like late into February now. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's only been a few weeks. I mean, I really haven't gotten a whole lot done. I mean, I think I'm back. I'm sure you guys will let me know. OBS just said that it disconnected and now I'm reconnected. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I mean, most of the museum is done. We've got to do a lot of the surrounding area and that sort of deal. Yeah, that's the status of that. Let me go back over here where the frame rates are a little bit better at the moment. There we go. Okay, so let's get some bit of ground texture going on. All right, that's looking kind of good. Yeah, so I think we'll just start working in some of these underbrush shrubs. Sometimes I don't like sink them into the ground. It depends on depends how it looks. Really have to just use your own discretion, really. Decide what looks good. I mean, that's where the real, you know, artsy fartsy stuff comes in, is where you look at a scene and you really have to make a decision about, you know, how it's coming together, not just trying to replicate reality as much as, you know, making it look good. And this might be a good, yeah, this is a good spot for this other, like, kind of softer, shrubby looking stuff. So we'll throw that maybe around the bottom of that thing there too. Throw a couple over here. Let's go back here. It's all about variety, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to, like, doing scenery stuff. But again, I guess, you know, you also don't want to go too crazy, because you don't want it to be way over the top, because then it just looks ridiculous. If you got too many assets, you know, wildflowers and 10 different types of grasses and 15 different shrubs and this, that, and the next thing. So there is a point where you kind of have to, like, hold back a little bit, or pull back, I guess you should say. Yeah, that's looking cool. So now, let's get a couple more over here. Now I feel good about maybe adding a little bit more grass texture underneath and kind of mixing things up a little bit more, especially along the right of way here. And we could add some of that dusty texture and kind of really blend it together. And maybe some ballast texture too. Let me go back to Google Earth here. Yeah, it seems like we should have a lot of this dusty texture and then some ballast sort of around that. I think would make the most sense. Let's grab our ballast. Actually, before I put that down, I'm going to add some of this city dirt texture 07, because it's kind of like a little bit more rocky. So, but I don't want that all over the place. So I'm going to go over top of that, but I do want to sort of get that in a couple places. You can see how there's sort of like bigger, looks like chunks of rock and debris and stuff like that. So we'll work that in a bit. Again, this whole area over here, I'm going to come back to. Probably not going to get to that today. Now let's add a little ballast. We can even add, we probably should add some of that through here too. Kind of mix it up with some of the ballast texture, some more dust, and some grass. Again, it's all about sort of blending different things together and getting some variety so it's not all just one big blocky mess. Let's see if I can grab the... There it is. All right, that's looking pretty cool. Although it looks like we got, to me, this looks like too many of the same trees in a row. So let's just kind of flip-flop those. There we go. A little more variety. Yeah, that's starting to feel pretty decent. I think maybe what we could do is, well, this whole section of track here is like covered in all kinds of debris and scrap metal and garbage and all kinds of nonsense like that. So I'm not going to add any more grass to that. We're going to leave that as it is. Want to come back over here. And I just want to add some texture and stuff to the side of the road over here. That tree is in the road. And I've got a grass spline that I've been using that I like a lot for this sort of thing. We got to find it. This one right here. And then we have to somehow, hopefully, pick it with the picker tool. Got it. Okay, this JVC Grass 359S. I'll show you what that looks like. Pretty good for like roadside, like clumpy grass. There we go. It's a little tough to control though. It's really dispersed, but it is quite nice for this sort of thing. So what we can do is we'll kind of spread it to there. It looks like maybe this house has like a fence in its backyard, so I might kind of throw that in there and see how that looks. Man, I wish I could use my earbuds instead of, I wish I didn't even have to use headphones. I guess I don't have to. I like listening to music. I guess I could use my earbuds and play music from my phone. You guys just won't be hearing the same music that I'm hearing. I don't know. I should do that. So I should try that sometime because these big headphones, man, they really start giving me a migraine after a little bit. Even though these are brand new headphones that I just bought, it's just that like, I don't know what you call it, like vice on my head. It's too much. All right, so let's do this. We're gonna add some of this. And you know, things like power lines and power poles and stuff like that, you know, I'll work those in like where I need to, but I'm not gonna do that right now. Just because I don't want to be like eating up polygons and rendering and stuff like that if I don't need to. Some of those details are things that I'll do like kind of in a later pass, like a later detail pass. It depends though. Like if it's directly trackside, I'll incorporate it right away. But if it's like roadside, it's not really totally necessary all the time. And I usually base it on like the performance that I'm getting from everything else. So let's fix this just a bit. Make it a little bit more smooth. Because it feels, yeah, I think that's fine. Felt a little like oddly lumpy. All right, so let's add a fence to this backyard. And we'll just do kind of like a quick like wooden fence, backyard wooden fence, something hopefully decent I could find. Let me do like wood fence. Wait, I'm not looking at too much nonsense. Yeah, that'll do. Oh, what's with... Oh, because I turned down the rendering? Is that why it's disappearing? Alright, well, I'm not going to use that if that's the LOD on that is that bad. JR1 is good, but that's payware. This one seems acceptable. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe it's okay. We'll use this one. So, let's see. We're just gonna sort of give everybody a little backyard. Let's just bring it up to here. Why not? I'm not gonna do all this other stuff right now. We're just gonna just add that. Just so I can add like the tree line and that sort of deal. It is kind of like a weird tree line. All right, whatever. I'm not gonna obsess with it. Let's work in. This is where like some of these shrubs start looking really good. If you kind of like drop them in, lower them down, because you get that nice sort of like texture where it's just peeking out a little bit. I like that quite a bit. You get some variety with that. There might be other ways to get this sort of look too. There might be some splines out there that I don't know about, but I kind of like how this looks. I like how these shrubs look. I like the shape, and I like their texture and their color and stuff like that. So for now, I mean, this is what works. You know, by the end of this year, I might be doing something totally different, but this is what works right now. I had a couple down towards the base. And then maybe like just one or two of these, and we'll sprinkle in just a couple of trees here and there, just to have, again, some variety, just to break things up. It's kind of what it looks like on Google. I'm not going to place every individual living tree that exists there. All right, this feels too crowded. See, it's easy to overdo it. Sometimes you gotta just take a step back and evaluate your life decisions. There we go. A couple of these are pretty nice. And throw another one of those right there. It's cool. One thing that I do kind of want to add is a guardrail next to this roadway. Kind of feels like it needs a guardrail. Here's the last of my coffee. Sad face. Although it's 6 o'clock, I probably shouldn't be drinking any more coffee, should I? That's not a good idea. Be up all night. All right, so what this area needs right now, see, it's looking kind of flat. It's boring. We'll add some textures in here, and we're gonna just sort of splat some different stuff in here. And that's gonna make a huge difference. And we'll do, you know, I'll throw some grass and shrubs and stuff down this fence line too once I, you know, get to working on that area. I had one other grass texture that I was using. Where is it? Just this like basic grass 11, which I think I want to say is from like Trains 2009 or something like that. It's old. However, if you kind of just intersperse it a little bit here and there, I'm clicking very little and I'm rotating as I'm going. It adds just enough variety, I think, to, you know, to the grass so that it's got a little bit of highlight. It's got a little bit of shadow. That's important, I think. All right, so we're going to add driveways here. I feel like there was a wider driveway. I don't remember having to double this up. Hold on, let me see here. What did I use? Oh, maybe it was, yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, this is it. This is what I was using. Driveway wide. There we go. All right, so once I get this done, let's just take, we'll take a quick look back at the main museum area and see if there's anything over there maybe we can do quickly. Let's see, I've been streaming now for 2 hours. So let's see if we can go a bit longer. Cool, let's just take a quick gander at this area. Cool, I mean, it's shaping up good. We've got kind of like the basic, I guess you'd call it like the rough draft of the thing in place, which is good. So that I can come in here, add some more grasses and details and stuff like that. But we covered like a decent amount of ground so far. So that's cool. I like that. Again, some of this stuff is going to take me a lot of time to detail, like this junkyard here. And I think, let's just do this really quick. According to like Google, it looks like this track sort of just, I don't know, it doesn't really make it all the way in there. It's probably buried. So I'm just going to cut it off right there. And then I don't have to worry about making a gate or anything like that. But actually, hold on. Let me look quick. So it actually is open right here, like the road, like they use it for access. So let's just open that up. Maybe, you know what, then let's leave that. Oops. We'll leave that for now. And let's just kind of like cut an opening here. Oh, the Erie Lackawanna unit's outside, I think. Is that what I just saw? The New Jersey Transit Heritage unit. I can't tell because there's another train in the way. Yep. There he goes. Erie Lackawanna. Heading down to Long Branch. Neato. So let's just bury this track a little bit also. We'll leave it here. I don't know, you know, if this is operational. I don't even know when this Google, you know, satellite view was taken, so this track might not even exist anymore, or who knows? I don't know. It'll be up to you guys to decide what the heck you want to do with this. If you want to operate into it or not, I don't really care. As long as people are having fun with it. Yes, right there. Cool. What am I doing here? I like how that slopes down. That's super cool. And obviously I'm gonna fix that gap there too underneath the track. Not a big deal to fix that. It's easy fix. Spiky Plays is a new member. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. What was I gonna do here? All right, yeah, anyway, let's we'll save this really quick. All right. So let's take a ride over to Lagland over here. And see if there's something maybe over here we can work on. Let me look at Google here. See if there's some sort of detail work or something we can do. How long did it take to get the DEM together? Flame Rails actually did the DEM for me, and it probably took them like 2 hours to put it together. So I have no idea how to use Transdem. So a lot of people ask me to do like a tutorial on it. and, you know, try to show you guys how to use it. But personally, I have absolutely no idea how to use that program. I've tried to learn and I just don't have the patience for it. It is just way beyond my capabilities of understanding. I used it a long time ago, probably 10 years ago. And I had a hard time even understanding how to use it back then. So I don't even bother with it. If I need a DEM, I usually ask somebody and get it from them. All right, so let me look on Google here. What do we want to do? You know, we also could work on this main track over here a little bit too. That is something I do need to work on. There's really not a lot going on in this yard, though. It's just kind of pretty straightforward. It's almost not far off from just what I have done here. I'm trying to see if there's something maybe I could work on in the complex itself. But it's hard for me to kind of pick apart like what details are worth modeling at the moment. All right. So we could try to, I like this view from over here. It's pretty cool. Trackside. I like that, looking into the museum. I was using Google Street View for this one. I think it matches up pretty decently, if I do say so myself. So that's kind of what I'm striving for with like the trackside stuff, is to just make sure it's as close as possible. Everything else can just kind of be close enough. I don't want to bore you guys doing like background scenes over here, so I'm not going to do that. Trying to see on here. I can't open up any of the pictures that any of the reference photos I have, so maybe this isn't the best idea to like work within here, simply because there's only so much information I can garner from Google Earth satellite view. So let's just forget about that. Let's come back over to our right of way here, and maybe we can sort of scenic in a little bit of this stuff over here. You know, the other thing with the DEM is that it's accurate to like a point. Like, I don't know how much of this is like treetops or, you know, actual ground. You know, like if we come up this way a bit, you know, the way that the track is laid, there's kind of like a big cut here. And I don't necessarily know that that is really how the terrain is laid out. I don't know if it was seeing the treetops alongside the track, but, you know, again, it's one of those things that's really not that important. So will it be released eventually? Yes, eventually this will be for sale on my website, hopefully by the summer. That's the goal, at least. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat screaming at me. It's the time of day where she comes out, she wakes up from her nap, and she's like, oh, hey, time to scream for no reason. So yeah, let's try to work on the right of way here a little bit. Just get maybe a little bit of scenicking in here, and then I'm gonna wrap it up because I'm gonna go make dinner. But yeah, this project it doesn't seem like it's that big in terms of like its scale or scope or anything like that, but it's in such like a dense area that I feel like it's gonna take me a little bit to get it done, maybe longer than usual. Like the WKNS was sort of, I don't want to say it was easy, but there was a lot of like woods, you know, and a lot of farmland. So, you know, for something that was only like what, 3 or 4 miles, it took me a month to do that. Same with the Hudson and Western, that's only a couple miles. I was able to bang that out pretty quick simply because it wasn't so dense. There's a lot going on this little route. I mean, even this whole area, the museum itself, is like 1.5 miles long or 2 miles long. So, I mean, even that, if you know, bring it to scale, it's still a pretty big area. A lot of coverage. Gotta fix this. Let's see if we can fix this really quick. I think the plateau tool will just sort of help us smooth things out a little bit. If I have to add a... these tracks are on different levels, so I might have to add a embankment or something like that underneath, which I'm not too worried about if I have to do that. I think this is even on a grade too, where this junction is. So it, you know, when everything, when you've got junctions on grades and tracks that are not on the same level and that kind of thing, it really begins to make terraforming pretty complicated. Particularly with this, the way that the terrain is generated on this in this game. But it's always a fun challenge to try to, you know, make it work and make it look realistic. And it was kind of doing the same thing over here too, right? I'm not going to spend too much time on that right now. I just kind of wanted to get the ballast off of the top of the track there. Yeah, if you've got photos of the museum and stuff like that, please send them my way. You could shoot them to me on Instagram or Discord or Facebook or... that's probably it. Yeah, or you can email me. That's fine too. Don't mind that. Yeah, any you know, resources are really helpful. Especially when it comes to like where certain things are on the property. It's next to impossible to tell from Google satellite view. I'd like to make a trip down sometime this year myself. I don't know if I've heard that I think I heard that they're still running stuff because they're so big that they can, you know, do all the social distancing and whatever else that's required. So they are still running some stuff. So I don't know, maybe this spring I can make a trip down. It'll probably be by the time I'm done with this, you know, building it, but you know, it still seems like a really cool place I'd like to go down and check out. I gotta get back to Steamtown too. It's been a long time since I've been to Steamtown. I don't really go out and do train stuff that often, not gonna lie. All right, where am I on the map here? There's kind of like a little development up in here. So let's just start at the bottom with some grass and work our way up from there. Because this is all kind of just like a tree line. Almost the whole length of this. So we're definitely going to use some grasses and some shrubs, just like we've been doing. Which way is the right way to go? Not that way. So I'm just gonna do like this sort of strip from here. Gonna just do this area, why not? I wonder if I could, no, because we're on an angle. I was gonna say, I wonder if I could do like copy and paste like a strip of trees, but that's not gonna work because the grid is on an angle, so it's not gonna work at all. Just sort of sprinkle in some stuff here and there. Also doesn't hurt to have, if you have the same tree, to try to add some different heights of them. Which I am notoriously bad at. I tend to just grab an asset and... I don't want to say spam it down because I'm not spamming it, but I'll just keep using it and placing it without going to like a different size or anything like that. Oh, the lag. Let's try to face this way. Try not to look towards the museum. Oh, you know what? I can hide. Let me hide the session layer. That might help. Oh, yeah, that helped a lot. Now I don't have to render all those train cars. Yeah, okay. But still, I'm going to try to face this way. Face towards the grid. Oh, no. Ah, my mic came loose. There we go. So yeah, we'll just add a couple of tree clusters here and there. Doesn't have to be anything too dense or too crazy. It's just a little bit of a tree line. Let's see, what other trees do we not have here? Let's add some of these darker ones. Just so we have good variety of color and texture. I don't think there's anything, no, but on this strip of road, no. There's no buildings or anything like that with their back to the tracks, so I'm not worried about that. All right, so let's just move some of these around a little bit. So they're not so imposing and crouching onto the right of way. I think this song has lyrics. Where's my next button on this thing? Cups in the way. All right, we got that. Yeah, and then we'll bring in some shrubs, and then we'll do a little texture in. And then I think that'll be kind of a good start for this little trackside area here. Let's grab all shrubs. I got to do this whole other side too, I just realized. I haven't done any scenery work on that side. That's okay. Yeah, see, this underbrush is clutch. So what I'm going to do here is not do like one big long strip of it. I'm going to sort of intersperse it a little bit here and there, and then I'll use some of the shorter shrubs in different areas. Just to kind of give it a little bit of a variety, a little bit of a density difference. That one. And again, I have no idea what this looks like down from track level. But, you know, could look good. 44 Willies, $1. Thank you, man. Much appreciated. The digital tip jar. There we go. Yeah, that's looking all right. Let's add a little bit of this over here. And again, we can add some of these. I'm going to be really sort of careful with where I add more of these in, because now I'm starting to populate the area like with a lot of trees and grasses and shrubs. So I don't want to drag the frame rate down too much with you know, background nonsense. So just got to be kind of conscious of that sometimes, even though I don't want to be. I don't want to pay attention to, you know, if I want to like put a lot of shrubs and grasses down, I you know, I would like to be able to just have the freedom to do it. But I also have to be conscious of the fact that I am going to try to, you know, release this thing and sell it to people who might not have the same specs on their computer that I do. So just got to be aware of that. All right, let's grab our dirt texture here. Usually what I like to do is put a little like under layer of this like dirt and dust, and then I'll put the ballast over top of it. But we don't have to go too crazy. We'll just do it kind of lightly. And then we'll go over it with the ballast. Actually, we'll go over it with the city grass texture. This one, or yeah, what is this? City dirt grass, whatever. And then we can mix in the ballast. And it's amazing to me how much, you know, using different textures underneath like spline grasses can really add more depth to the grass that you've got there, the shrubs and everything that you've laid out. Oh man, throat is getting sore, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up soon. All right, so let's just get this down. A little bit more ballast. And we could be a little bit more heavy-handed with this sort of thing. So then, you know, essentially what we're doing here is when we go over the top with the main ballast, you know, any bit that shows through, you know, is going to be just that dirt, dust texture or some grass or something like that. And that looks way more natural than it just being another layer of ballast or like totally solid ballast. But again, that's just my sort of interpretation of how things are. Everybody can, you know, choose your own methods, you know. So you could also take this darker texture and put it underneath, you know, and that might look good too. So it really depends on where you're modeling. Let's throw a little bit more of this down here, sort of intersperse some of these chunky rocky pieces. I know I'm kind of going really quick across this. It's probably not rendering too well on the YouTubes. Let's grab this grass and just do a little of this. And then, you know, when I'm doing, it's funny, when I'm doing stuff like this, right now I'm kind of doing it from the perspective of the track side, and I'm not paying attention to the side of the road here. So the next, I guess, step that I would logically do would be to make this look good from this side, as opposed to trying to do both sides at one time. That's what I'm trying to say. So I like to focus on one side, get that looking good, and then kind of focus on the other side. Now this is feeling a little bit crowded to me, so I'm just gonna back up a few of these trees just to give some more breathing room around the yard here, because I don't necessarily think that we would have in real life so many trees. It's just so close. I mean, they are pretty close sometimes, but not so evenly close, I guess is what I'm getting at. They look like they're almost in a line. And it probably doesn't help that I don't have anything textured down here. Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, that's not looking... That's a good rough start, you know what I mean? Like, that's something I could work with. Obviously, I got to do some of the underbrush and texturing on the left side over there. And, yeah, I mean, there's tons of work that I got to get done on this thing. But I'm going to try to stream this more often anytime that I'm working on it. Maybe not anytime that I'm working on it, because it is tough for me to stream and talk and work and stay focused and read the chat and all that kind of stuff. But I'd like to stream this a little bit more often just to get some, you know, drive some interest in it, especially since I'm not making videos on it. And I don't have any plans to make videos on it. It's at least a way to just stay somewhat active on the channel, so you people don't forget about me. And, you know, keep kind of producing content without having to, you know, produce so many videos and that sort of thing. So let me save this really quick. There we go. Overwrite existing section. So yeah, I mean, if you guys enjoy the work that I do and you'd like to help support me, you can drop me a donation over at PayPal. You can join my Patreon at patreon.com/approachmedium. There's a whole bunch of different tiers there. There's tiers as low as $1 and goes up from there. So if you'd like to support me in what I do, like that's the place to do it. And you know, I try to keep engaged with everybody who's a patron and even people who are not, obviously, over at my Discord. So anyway, that is going to do it for today. It was a good stream. I had a lot of fun. We got some work done, and I hope you guys are interested in this build because I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I think it's going to be pretty good by the time it's done. So all that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a nice weekend.